blessings, sis. All right, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. It is December the 29th, 2022, day 301 of year 4. I'm reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1320 today. I got a little bit of exciting news, right? So we're not going to start just yet the Lord's third book because there's some very interesting information that came in last night. So with permission to share, first, before I share that, first of all, let me give a shout out to Kenya. We got a sister watching from China who reached out to me yesterday. She actually, she's been hanging out in the background for a little while now. But she was listening to the letter that Cosmon shared that I reread yesterday. And she was able to find The Romance of the Red Star. It's lodged in the Library of Congress, and I have the link. Matter of fact, if y'all haven't found it yet, I have the link for it. And what you're going to have to do is, here's the title. Oh, wait, I'm going to probably have to do it here. Dawn, she said, peace, love, and light, Oahspe family. Man, I missed a lot yesterday. She had a migraine, throwing stuff in the trash and talk about coochie and shalom. Yeah, yesterday was pretty interesting. Hold on, let me pull this up for y'all. So I might have to break this up. There might be too many. It might be too long for the chat. So here's the title. That's the title. Here is the link. And that would actually be what the letter that we was rereading that Cosmon read. This is the 1910 version of Oahspe by Clara White. Her name is actually on it. Who was it? Let me see. Let me pull the letter back up. Towards the end of the letter yesterday that we read, right in the 18, I think it was like 1884, where it mentions it. Nubro. I had it saved too. Hold on. Cover letter. Nope, it must have kicked me out. Well, right in towards the middle of the paragraph, well, a little bit past the middle of the paragraph, I could have sworn that the paragraph started in 1884. where it talks about Clara White. I was looking for the dude's name, but anyway, his wife is Clara White. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry, not 1848. In 1898, Franklin P. White, a former participant in Howland's Levitica community, returned home and founded a Denver fraternity. His wife, Clara E. White, was a medium and claimed to restore Oahspe to its true, unrevised form, which they published under the title Romance of the Red Star, a bibliography of the earth. It included a chapter they said was omitted from Oahspe, although corrected and renamed. Their version violated the copyright of Oahspe sold by the Howlands. So after they had put it out, they when Howland came back and saw that it was up there, even under a different name, right? They probably, because they was familiar with the people, they probably ran a search on the people and found a book authored by them. And when you open it, realize it's actually Oahspe under a completely different name, right? Okay, so that's that link right there. So save that. When you go to the link, it's going to be like a screen where it looked like a video, but it's not. It's an actual book. So if you like hit play, it'll kind of like scroll through, or you can scroll through the bar. But what you want to do, if you pull it up on the computer, go to the right-hand side of the page, and it'll have like different formats. Go all the way down, hit PDF. All those other ones, they're going to give you all kind of other crazy formats. Click on PDF and download that from there. If you're on a phone, when it opens up, it's not mobile ready, so it's going to be too big for the screen. Just scroll to the bottom till you see formats. Go down to PDF, hit PDF, download it from there, right? But like I said, that can be found in the Congress of the Library, the Library of Congress. Okay, so big shout out to Kenya, hanging out in the background all the way from China for that little piece. I know a few people were looking for it, but she got it and she sent it to me last night. So big shout out. I'm keeping a list of everybody's name and all the different pieces that y'all give me to this, right? I told you I ain't letting up on the search. We just had a minor little setback, right? Still looking at what Creator is saying now. But if the pieces gonna keep coming in, I'm gonna keep putting the puzzle together, right? So thank you, everybody, and even Dawn spending all that time putting that the spreadsheet together for me with the comparing the books and everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because if I actually do decide to do my PhD, this is gonna be my my big term paper, right? All this research over this is gonna be a few years till I get to it. All of this time and everybody's resources, your YouTube channel, whatever you get to me, I can put in there. It's gonna be in my bibliography, and you'll be cited throughout the text with your piece that you gave, right? I think it'll be pretty cool. So with that being said, let me give shout outs to everybody. First of all, Father, we thank you for connections all over the world to accomplish your purpose as we all raise to a higher light. All right. I already said hey to Ema, Set Apart Living. Dawn, sis. Hey, girl, hey. Hannah, Grand Rising. Hold on. Oahspe College University. Shalom, shalom. Yes. I even got to the title today. Hold on. We gonna get to it. We about to get to it. Elijah, peace and light, brother. Prince, shalom, shalom. He said, hey, y'all. Hey, Jamil. Hey, girl. Hey. You late again, but we ain't got started for real. We about to start. Next shout out goes to Jamil. Listen. Jamil been doing a lot of work in the background, right? I mean, she not in the background, but she kind of keeping quiet with some of the stuff she's finding, but she kind of fills me in on a lot of stuff. First of all, sis, thank you for your time as well. Jamil attends this phone call from a faithist group, which is where she found Celeste, Joan, and also Peter. Right. So every week they have this conference call that she's been a part of, just kind of listening in. And she was sharing some things with me, and she was letting me know, hey sis, look, they be talking about this and this might help us. I was like, okay, look, well, look into that and let me know what you find out. And the title today actually comes from what she has found out, right? So she actually had a chance to talk, and in the title you will see it's called Celeste, Joan, and Peter and the old trunk, right? So we've been hearing about this old trunk. First time I think we heard about it, Cosmon mentioned it, right? So I'm like, old trunk, where is said trunk? You know, and even in a couple of videos I'm like, said trunk. But anyway, I got the deets on this old trunk along with some pictures. Now all of this was given to me like in a letter, and I asked for permission to share this, and they gave me permission. So they put together Celeste, Joan, and Peter. Celeste is actually Joan's daughter, right? She's pretty much been a part of the faithless community all her life. So you can actually find her on Amazon as well. Actually, at least I found her with a couple other books she's written. And I just kind of clicked on it, followed it, and found the web page and all that stuff where they do their updates for their community. It's pretty interesting, right? So they wrote a letter. And they actually won. I was like, Jamila, ask if I can share it. She said, of course. But she did. She went back and she verified. But they wrote this information for us and put this stuff together, kind of to help us, because they've also been searching, right? So that's what we're about to get into. I'm gonna read you this letter, and then the document that they put together, it's a compilation of a couple different things. A combination of a few different things. And after I read the intro, after I read the cover letter, because they actually they put it out in like a table of contents. So I'm gonna go through and read it, and we're gonna see everything that's in this document. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, Dawn, and getting some rest. She-Bro, hey girl, hey, and everybody else hanging out in the background in both places. Top of the day to you. Okay, so this definitely brings a lot of light to some of the stuff that we've been talking about. It helps us along the way just a little bit, probably a lot. Okay, so this is like an they sent this like in Word document. I transferred into a PDF document. So because it's pictures and stuff in here they shared, and also a picture of the plate and the typewriter that was used, like all of this stuff. Trying to see how, at this point, you can probably just have to email me for just to like put the Celeste letter in the subject, and I know what you're talking about. Because right now, before I figure out how to do that, I'm just going to probably have to just email it to you if you want to see it. Okay. Hold on, let me get a cup of water real quick. This is really interesting. Super excited. I was able to go through some of it. Then my phone hit me in my face as I realized I was dozing last night trying to go through it. So I got through a little bit of it, not all of it. So we just gonna kind of go through it together while we're here, right? Okay. Cover letter. Hi, Jamia. I found Pamela's YouTube channel, Awaken to Truth Ministry, discussing the lamp plates. I'm glad she is comparing the different editions, and I look forward to what she finds. Just so you have some background on me, I am 51 years old, an ordained faithist, and I have an MA in Women's Spirituality from California Institute of Iattrical Studies. I am the daughter of Joan and Ken Greer, active members of many faithist groups for decades, and my great-grandmother, Sarah Winters Shady, was the first in my family to have Oahspe in the 1890s. I have volunteered for Universal Faithists of Cosmon since I was 16. I am now the director of operations for our property in Yokern, California. And then in bold print, she puts, I am not an expert on Oahspe or the land plates, but I have been in this for a long time. And that's where the bolding ends. And so she's about to give a little bit of information on her mother, Joan, which we've heard about. In the 1950s, my mother, Joan, saw the land plates, copper printing plates, during a stay with the Essenes of Cosmon in Montrose, Colorado. I have included an article Joan wrote called The Old Trunk about her experience and her study of the editing of Oahspe. I have also included an article by Seventh-era Faithists about the editing of Oahspe and Jim Denning's introduction to More of Oahspe, a book about Denning's research. I actually have that. I know that was mentioned. I'm almost certain Cosmon mentioned that book, More of Oahspe, but I haven't. I haven't gone through it yet, but it's here, right? Okay, I have also included an article by Seventh-era Faithists about the editing of Oahspe and Jim Denning's introduction to More of Oahspe, a book about Denning's research. Jim Denning also wrote about the document Pamela is calling the land plates. And we have, I have a new term for what we call it. We call it the land plates. Look, last night, Bella picked up my so-called John Lant plates out the trash can that I threw in. Y'all saw me throw it. Bella came when it was done. She said, Mom, it was so sweet the way she did. She said, Mom, and she got down there and she gathered up all the papers, she said, and she did them. They weren't nice and stacked together, but they were still kind of like, you know, the best she could. She got it. She said, Mom, and she set them back up here, and she did like that. I'm like, that must be a sign. So I was like, oh, okay, right. Because I even mentioned, I was like, maybe they shouldn't go all the way in a trash can. Maybe they'll be in that box hovering above the trash can with the two lighters beside them. I'm about, you do one more thing. I'm going to light you on fire, right? Okay, so Bella pulled them out the trash can. All right, I see y'all emails coming through asking for the copy of the letter. I got y'all. It may not be directly when we get done, but it will be today. I have 11 a.m. deadline. I have to submit some paperwork to the government. So it'll be today, but probably later on in the day when I send it. But just put them there. I ain't gonna miss it. All right. In the 1950s, my mother, Joan, saw the land plates, copper printing plates, during a stay with the Essenes of Cosmon in Montrose, Colorado. I have included an article Joan wrote called The Old Trunk about her experience and her study of the editing of Oahspe. I have also included an article by the Seventh-era Faithists about the editing of Oahspe and Jim Denning's introduction to More of Oahspe, a book about Denning's research. Jim Denning also wrote about the document Pamela is calling the land plates. When the Essenes of Cosmon, the group with the old trunk, closed their doors, Wing Anderson ordered the burning of the archives. I'm like, what? So I'm like, he ordered it? Wing Anderson ordered the burning of the archives. Community members saved some of the archives. Some stuff went to the Faithists Children's Home in Four Winds, Georgia. And I have been told that the old trunk was seen in the 60s in Oregon and in the 70s in Washington State, and then the old trunk disappeared. When I saw Washington State, I was like, yo, my brother got a lot of connections in Washington State. He was staying up there for a while. Maybe I can get him to start calling around, see if they've even heard about. First of all, let's mention the word Oahspe, see if it rings a bell. Let's see how well informed your circle is. Listen, I was thinking about all this last night. Hold on. Some stuff went to the Faithists Children's Home in Four Winds, Georgia, and I have been told that the old trunk was seen in the 60s in Oregon and in the 70s in Washington State, and then the old trunk disappeared. In the 1980s, when I was a teenager, there was a lot of talk about the El Paso Oahspe. Faithists wanted it to be Newbro's original typed pages or the print proofs of the land plates. In 1987, Jim Denning called the El Paso Oahspe a forgery. I disagree with Denon. I have included a letter in the article Denon wrote about the El Paso OAHSPE. I do not think it's a forgery. I think it's an addition put together by Howland's adopted daughter, Nin, who married A.J. Carpenter of 501 North Stanton Street, El Paso, Texas. See Denon's letter. Mrs. A.J. Carpenter's name and address are on the first page of the El Paso OAHSPE. I think Nin was preparing the El Paso OAHSPE for publication, but it was never completed, perhaps because of the flood and fire that destroyed Newbro's papers and artwork, or maybe it became an overwhelming task. Either way, I think the El Paso OAHSPE is not the first or the second edition of OAHSPE. I think the El Paso OAHSPE was put together after Newbro's death and after the 1891 edition was published. I take responsibility for my opinion, and I am open to other interpretations of the El Paso OAHSPE. I am deeply inspired by your enthusiasm and thirst for knowledge, and I hope you are not irrevocably disheartened by my letter or its information. Many faithists have felt misled and disappointed with the El Paso OAHSPE, but, and here's what she put in bold, and this is the last sentence of this letter. But for me, what makes the El Paso OAHSPE remarkable is that it was put together by a woman who was raised at Shalom. With love and respect, Sister Joy. All right, so I want to bring out a couple things she wrote about in this letter right here, right? Yeah, we definitely, Jamil. She said, I actually think we should talk to Woodson Payne. I'm in his group on Facebook. Hold on. I don't know. We need to see it out. We need to see it out, Shebrew. Nesar Yahoo, shalom, shalom, animalistic nature. Shalom, brother. Great spirit. Had y'all checked out on me yesterday when I asked? Hold on. Oh, wait. He said, oh, y'all must have seen it. Great Spirit said, this is my friends in the UK. Blessings to all the faithists. We use the lowest edition of Oahspe. Hard to get copies here. They sent us KJV when we ordered it. Everybody over here in the UK uses KJV as it was written by R. King James. Okay. So y'all don't have any other copies. They said all they got is their lowest. Okay. Don't give up the search. Just kind of be looking around, you know. Make sure you see it all the way to the end. There might be one lingering around there in somebody's house somewhere out there in the UK. I don't know. I'm just saying. All right, so listen. But thank you for that. Thank you. Hold on. She said, oh, the name of what we have. This, in fact, and this is a few pages that I print out. This, in fact, what we were reading that I was calling the John Lant plates is, in fact, the El Paso OAHSPE. She made a reference in here. And I pulled up the PDF, and lo and behold, on the last page of the PDF is that, and there's a picture in here of it. It's going to go into detail. Yeah. Okay. There's a picture of something that was in there that was also in the El Paso OAHSPE, right? And so when I pulled it up, and she actually have the page 686, which is the last page of the so-called John Lant plates. This little blurb is right there on that. And she just kind of verified a couple of things. I'm like, yep, this is we got the El Paso OAHSPE. So what I was calling the John Lant plates is in fact the El Paso OAHSPE, right? So let me that's gonna be in the title too. I gotta add it in there if I got space. Okay. Also, she said about it, right? Remember I said yesterday, I said, first of all, even though we didn't, it's a fact now that these aren't the John Lant plates. I said, I want to give a shout out to sis, right? Because for her to be able to put that together herself, remember I started talking about, I said, well, shoot, her daddy had to give. I said, for her to be able to sit there, just sit in front of a typewriter and actually retype, right, after everything had been destroyed or whatever, for her to sit there and retype this Oahspe, whether from memory or from channeling herself, that was a great feat in itself, right? And so when I read this, I remembered when I read this last night, I remembered my comment yesterday morning that I made about her. And Celeste said the same, well, kind of like the same thing. She said, but for me, what makes the El Paso Oahspe remarkable is that it was put together by a woman who was raised at Shalom, right? So we give sis her props. Because she put it together, and a lot of the information is correct that we find in the other editions. You know, it's not the completed work, but, you know, all right. So that was the end of Celeste's letter, Celeste Joy. Thank you, Celeste. Thank you to you, Joan, and Peter for putting this together. Okay, so, and this was compiled, they put this together. I'm not sure if they was already working on it. I'm sure because she got it to Jamil so quick. I'm almost certain they probably had some of this together already. Oh, the light probably too bright. Okay, but it looks like the cover page of a book. But it's entitled A Look at the El Paso Oahspe, compiled by Celeste Joy, edited by Joan Greer and LesLee M, with input from Peter Hartgens, 2022. And it has the P.O. Box number, has Joy's email and phone number. I'm not sure if she want me to say it like over the air. So, but if you email for a copy of this, it'll be in there. I'm not going to read that out loud. Okay. The table of contents, and this is giving us everything that they've compiled into this book, this document that they put together. Page 1, cover letter. El Paso Oahspe comparison, and under it, an interesting study of the pathology of religion, Howland, Colony of Las Cruces, Mrs. A.J. Carpenter, or Nin Howland, and it has the second edition and also the typewriter. Then it has Jim Denon on the El Paso Oahspe, photos of Nin Howland, Ninya, second child in the top row. It's a picture. Matter of fact, I've seen these pictures before while I was looking up. Matter of fact, I think, don't quote me. I think it's the same picture that I posted in the community section a couple weeks ago with the children at Shalom. I think that's the same picture. At least it looks familiar. Okay. Photos of Nin Howland, Ninya, second child in the top row. Denon's announcement in Cosmon Voice 95. The introduction to More of Oahspe by Jim Denon. Then it goes into The Old Trunk by Joan Greer, which we probably won't get to today because we're going to read through this whole document they put together. So we may actually get to it maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that, because we're just going to kind of read in order. I'm not going to jump around. The Old Trunk, and that begins on page 18. The Old Trunk by Joan Greer, December 1951, Montrose, Colorado. A brief history of the Old Trunk, the contents of the Old Trunk, Book of Knowledge, Tablet of Om and the 9 Entities, Book of Inspiration, the Recalled Edition, Oranathan and Levitica, Concluding Thoughts, an article by Seventh Era Faithists. And the last portion of the book is the Lamp Proof Sheets and their significance to Oahspe. All right, so it says El Paso Oahspe analysis. Why I think the El Paso Oahspe is not the lamp plates nor a typed manuscript written by Nubro. Quote, an interesting study of the pathology of religion, end quote. The above caption appears on page 686 of the El Paso Oahspe, the intellectual conversation of religion as pathological, hold on. The above caption appears on page 686 of the El Paso Oahspe. The intellectual conversation of religion as pathological started years after Nubro's death when Sigmund Freud published his paper, quote, Obsessive Actions and Religious Practices, end quote. In 1907, Freud framed religion as a malignant social force that encourages irrational thoughts. And then it has like the little picture stamp that we see on the last page, just right here, of the El Paso OAHSPE that I emailed to everybody. Mistitled John Lant plates, right? So you see that there. And this is figure 1, page 686 of the El Paso OAHSPE. Quote, howling colony of lost cruces, end quote, end quote. Nubro would not have called Shalom the, quote, howling colony of lost cruces, end quote. Check out the New Mexico State University at Las Cruces, New Mexico Special Collections. And it has the link there. And we came across that and I shared that with everybody a little while ago. You can, if you scroll back, you will see that. But if you get this, the link is there. You can click on it. All the links in here are clickable. So if you click on it, it'll open it up. Okay. The next page, page 6, there is a picture. It says official scenic history marker, Shalom Colony, 1884 to 1901. And on it, it says, in 1884, Shalom Colony was established on the banks of the Rio Grande near the village of Donna Ana by John Ballou Nubro and a group of utopian followers called Faithists. Nubro's Book of Shalom set forth a plan for gathering the outcasts and orphaned children of the world and raising them to be the spiritual leaders of a new age. Shalom Colony was closed in 1901. And this is figure 2, picture of the historical marker. And y'all, like I said, Facebook, it looks like Facebook can see it good. But it's a colored photo. Like I said, I just read everything that was on this right here. Okay. I don't know. We got to look into it, y'all. I see y'all comments. Okay. I don't know. I just heard of the guy the other day. Like, I don't want to say his name and repeat that comment because I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet. Okay. Mrs. A.J. Carpenter, El Paso, Texas, September 14th, 1929. By kindness of Mrs. A.J. Carpenter, 501 North Stanton Street, El Paso, Texas. Mrs. A.J. Carpenter was then howling using her husband's initials. See Denning's letter. And let's see, figure 3, page 1, form PDF of the El Paso OAHSPE. And I remember seeing that is there, right? And so it gives a little, that's figure 1. Oh, if you go back, and you will see that. My light is too bright. Okay. But if you get it, you will see it. This is like a little picture of that, the top of that page. Matter of fact, it's on the preface page at the top. You can see what she was showing right at the top. Okay, second edition, prefaces to the second edition. Figure 4, page 1 in PDF of El Paso OAHSPE. And it has another picture and it just kind of zoomed in so you can see preface to second edition with the previous post above it. John Lant was not involved in the 1881 second edition of OAHSPE. The Lant plates were made 10 years earlier in 1881. The plates would be copper and would look like the newspaper advertisement on the next page, right? And figure 5 on page 7 is an antique copper plate letterpress printing block, and it has a web along all of that. The rest of that is a website, right? So this is a sample of what one of the copper plates would have looked like. Okay, hold on. That's for Facebook. YouTube. All right. The Lant plate proof sheets look like this according to Faithists Jim Denning, Joan and Ken Greer, Arnold Arias, and Ernie Gardner, Safa. And this is an actual proof page from John Lant's 1881 OAHSPE, and it has never published, right? So this would have been it would have been a copper looking plate, right? But they said this is a copy of one of the Lant plates that they saw, which was never published. So it looks like Safa may have been in the original one, right? Now, everything that was in there, not sure of. let's see. I was trying to see if I can read it. I can read, yeah, let's try. Hold on. Okay, let me try and read this. Okay, what's going around here? And it's going to probably cut off. I don't know. It's in 2 columns, so I'm going to try and keep it all together. Book of Sappha. I am to perish. I, being Sappha, am of the perishable. I am of the earth, perishable history. I am the dying history, not dead, the legends, the skeletons of a one-time giant. In my youth, I was science and philosophy, religion. I reached into all the nations of the earth. Distance with me is nothing. Time, nothing. I was a tree of life in time long past, the devotedly loved son of light. The fruit I bore fed all the inhabitants of the earth, but the flesh of the fruit hath perished. The seed still liveth. My seed is in languages and words, in rocks and ruined walls, and falling temples, the buried cities. These are the remnants of my corporal body, and these my last days, remnants that were once the living members of my body, shall forth and speak their parting words of the newborn cosmon. Hear ye these, my sons and daughters, O ye that search for the light of ages past, but find not. I am the book of the past, of the things that are past, of the corporal world, perishable. That little tiny says tree of law, tree of love. Yeah, if I blow it up, it just gets blurry. Oh, how I wish I could read that. So it looks, this, yeah, I agree with Jamil. What y'all just said, I ain't gonna repeat all that, but I agree with Jamil on that. She said his statement is made based on his experience in a certain community. That I do know. I don't think it's necessarily about the book or information. Yeah, I agree with that. So don't be deterred. Like, while we're on the search, don't be deterred. We're gonna find some things that may seem a little unkosher, if you want to say that, but look into it, and after you get all the information that you can find, then adjust as need be, right? But I do agree that's he's giving you everything from his perspective through the filters of his experience, right? And it doesn't seem like he had a good experience. So, but that don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because of one person's experience, right? Because other people have great experiences in regards to this. Okay, so this right here, this tree, do y'all remember what I just read? Do y'all remember that in Sappha or anywhere else? Anywhere else? Because I don't know that I remember reading that. We could have over the last 6 months of going through here. I'm not sure. But if y'all do remember reading it, if that is in here, put the page number if you remember where, what search for what Ray was talking about. Are you talking about what I just read off of here? So yeah, search for the truth. Yeah, thank you. But let me listen. I'm gonna read this again, right? This is good. And up here on this tree, right, you can see that I think I remember seeing this tree or something. Either it's in Oahspe, or either this figure is, hold on, I probably should have went to the next page to see. No, there's not a reference whether this particular tree is in Oahspe, but I think I remember seeing this. It may not have been in Oahspe. It could have just been in some reference. This tree right here, it's a tree, right? And a part of this tree is the different groups of people. Like from the bottom, it had inside of the tree, you have 1, then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? The trunk is 1, And then a little bit above the trunk where the branches begin to branch out, you have each branch has a name, right? The trunk is one, then you have two, then you have it looks like a part of the trunk, but a little bit higher where the branches begin to come out from. That's 3. Then you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? The branches extending from the tree, they're all numbered. And outside of the tree, around the tree, starting from the bottom on up, is Pan, Poit, Gal, Hui, Foos, Chine, Yeehaw, Vede. I think that's Sanskrit, maybe. Then you have Algonquin, Oraba, or Arabia, Celeste, I think it's Celeste, Greek, Latin, Abram, Phanis, Aham. It starts with an E. Eha, I'll probably say that wrong. That might not even be the word. Ibra, and then it has Hebrew, right? So it looks like it's all the world's people. The page 519, okay, in big blue. Let me look real quick. Oh, it is. Okay. Yep. Page 519 if y'all got big blue. I knew I saw it somewhere. Okay, so apparently this is the picture from the plate, but what about what was around it? What I just read. That's actually around it here from the actual plate. Do we remember hearing that? Okay, let me read here. It's plate 61, Tree of Language. China, India, Europe, and America, the 4 branches of the earth, have languages from one root. Where was the tree and where it grew that none can find? Where lies the submerged continent, the forgotten world? Whence escaped the struggling mortals to float to far off continents and tell the tale in all lands of a mighty flood? Language of Pan, the first guttural sounds approximating words. Poit, beginning of labial word sounds. Huit, first acquired language. Fuss, first written word signs. Chinese, monosyllabic. Haya, combination of words. Abram, first words, original text. Abram, first words, original text. Phanis, following the sound but not the signs, writing. Aham, amalgamation. Ibra, the old, the sacred. Sanskrit, mixture. Araba, first Egyptian also, teeth and throat. Algonquin, after the sacred name, Egoquin. And there's also, let's read the footnote again for the Tree of Language. It's reference letter A. Oh, that's Mom's book of praise. Okay. A on page 572 says, Introduction to Safa and the text under plate 61, Tree of Languages, appeared only in the E. Wing Anderson's 1935 edition of Oahspe, which utilized the 1891 version of the text. It included these proof sheets, which had apparently been left out of previous editions and were believed by E. Wing Anderson to be part of the original manuscript. The phrase, quote, these last days, end quote, refers to the fact that humanity will become extinct before the Cosmos season finishes. See Ethiopian age in glossary. Let's look at Ethiopian age. I probably said it wrong. Real quick. Ethiopian, I don't know. EOPTIAN. It's on page 773. Ethiopian age, I'll say. The period of time from which human life first comes into being until humanity becomes extinct on Earth or any planet. In Book of Cosmogony, chapter 5, verse 20, the 8 degrees refers to the maximum duration of the Ethiopian age for humanity and the degree range of vortexia, energy needed to support life. Hypothermia begins below 95 degrees, and debilitating fevers are considered to be above 102 degrees. Therefore, humanity can exist between 94.5 and 102.5 degrees, a span of 8 degrees. Since 1 degree of vortexia is lost over 1 gadol of time, then 8 gadols would be the maximum lifespan of humanity for this sum. Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter XLIX, verse 20. I ain't even gonna try and say what it is. Like this, I don't know. I think it's above 40. I ain't really good. I'm still learning my Roman numerals, y'all. Chapter XLIX, verse 20, indicates that the midpoint of the Ethiopian age was the time of the building of the Great Pyramid. The Ethiopian age includes a portion of the second season of the Samoan age, along with most of the Holtuan age. The Holtuan age covers the Cephas and Cosmon seasons. The first race of man arising from Oahspe, who marked the beginning of the Ethiopian age, began about 78,000 years before the dawn of Cosmon. See Book of Cosmogony, chapter 5, verse 21, plate 46. Savorcum shows the position of the Ethiopian age of the earth, represented by the diagonal line above the C in Savorcum. I think that's that long fold out that we find in here. That age extends from the first appearance of man arising from Oahspe to the time of extinction for humanity, or about 66,000 years from now, near the end of the Cosmon season. This would be followed by Adu and then a winter age, Uz, thus ending the present Earth sum. See sum in glossary. See plate current position of the solar system in this Cosmon season at the end of the glossary. Okay. We will keep following references. If we keep following the references, we probably won't finish the letter. But it's there if you got it. Go pull it up. The sum is, okay, we'll look up sum. Sum. See sum in glossary. But you can pull out the pull out yourself. Okay, sum is on page 865. 4 cubes, 576,000 years shall be called one sum, because the magnitude thereof embraces one equal of the great serpent. 43.6 in note B 51. Okay. All right, so let's go back here. I'm gonna reread this what's around the tree of language, right? Plate 61. But yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. Tony, shalom. Selah, shalom, shalom. Francis, shalom. Okay. Is Mars still near that temperature range? I have no idea. I don't know. Selah might be the best one to answer that. That's here, I think. I don't know. Oh, thank you. It's 49. That Roman numeral. Thank you. It's 49. Okay, let's go back to this letter from Celeste. Okay, so I'm going to reread what's around the tree of language again. Like I said, I don't know that I remember reading what is around here, right? But it's good stuff. Okay. Book of Sappha. I am to perish. I, being Sappha, am of the perishable. I am of the earth, perishable history. I am the dying history, not dead. The legends, the skeletons of a one-time giant. In my youth, I was science and philosophy, religion. I reach into all the nations of the earth. Distance with me is nothing. Time, nothing. I was as a tree of life in time long past, the devotedly loved son of light. The fruit I bore fed all the inhabitants of the earth, but the flesh of the fruit hath perished. The seed still liveth. My seed is in languages, in words, in rocks and in ruined walls, and falling temples and buried cities. These are the remnants of my corporal body. In these my last days, my remnants that were once the living members of my body shall forth and speak their parting words to the newborn Cosmon. Hear ye these, my sons and daughters. O that ye search for the light. O ye that search for the light of ages past, but find not. I am the book of the past, of the things that are past, of the corporal world, perishable. So could it be, I don't know. I see a tree, and my mind want to say that the tree is a big indication of history, right? I mean, you can find like the age of the tree and how long it's been there based on the rings that it has and stuff. I don't know. Could it be saying that the history is like the tree? I don't know. I'm still working through all this. Okay, but this right here is an actual proof page from John Lance, 1881 Oahspe, that was never published, right? They say this is the only one that they got. That's from the introduction of Safa. Okay. Oh, okay. Yep, that's there. Okay. What would have been cool is if they would have put it in here just like it was in the original plate, right? But they split it up, and it's like a whole 2 pages. The tree is a whole 2 pages away from the words that was written around it. Okay. All right, let's go back. Thank you for that, Hannah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Vinette, greetings. Okay. Let's go to page 9 of this document Celeste put together. The typewriter is the El Paso OAHSPE Nubro's original type pages. No, I don't think so. And so there's figure 6, page 37 of the El Paso OAHSPE. And it says, it's like I said, it's a figure, this picture right here. It says, this is a specimen of the Underwood typewriter. And it's like showing you the print of how it prints out the letters. It's like a specimen of what this would print out, right? Okay. The first Underwood typewriter was made in 1896, 6 years after Nubro's death. And it has a link that you can click on and you can follow through, right? Others have documented that Nubro's typewriter was a Scholes and Glidden, or Glidden, the Scholes and Glidden typewriter. So forgive me, I misspoke. This is not a sample from this. This link right here gives you the, let's see. Hold on, let me not do that because I'm gonna freeze this thing up. But the link right here should take you to the typewriter that this specimen comes from, right? This is a typewriter Nubro had, which is a Scholes and Glidden typewriter. The first commercially successful typewriter was invented in America in 1868 by C. Scholes, C. Glidden, and S. Sewell. In March 1873, E. Remington and Sons began commercial production of this first typewriter in New York. It typed only capitals with a QWERTY keyboard layout. QWERTY layout was a key layout to facilitate a faster typing speed. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, right? If that's what he had, his whole document would have been in capital letters. Oh, that's a really good. See, I was on point looking into the typewriters and what I showed y'all, the printing press and all that stuff. I was getting close. I hadn't made it this far, so thank you, Celeste, Joan, and Peter for this document. And it was somebody else. And LesLee M. Thank you for taking the time to put this together. Y'all just saved me a whole bunch of time. Okay, listen. The first commercially successful typewriter was invented in America in 1868 by C. Scholes, C. Glidden, and S. Sewell. In March 1873, E. Remington and Sons began commercial production of this first typewriter in New York. It typed only capitals with a QWERTY keyboard layout. QWERTY layout was the key layout to facilitate a faster typing speed. As with most other early typewriters, the type bars would strike upwards, hitting the paper on the roll bar below, rather than from the viewer's side. This action blocked the view of the characters as they were typed making it impossible to see the print until it finally worked its way into view. And there's a link under this, figure 7, and it has a link, a sample of Nubro's typing. The letter on the next page is from the archives of New Mexico State University. The letter is from Nubro to Percy, dated April 7th, 1890. Nubro is asking for help to find a photo engraver for the 1891 edition of Oahspe, as he wants to include more art and photos. The Shoals and Glidden typewriter has only uppercase letters. It also has large spacing between lines and between words. Wow. And here's a copy. This next page, figure 8, is a sample of John's typing right here. Hold on. Facebook. Like I said, email me. Y'all probably can't really see it too good, but I'm trying to show you my light. That letter right there, that's a sample of John's typing and his writing here. And it's all capital letters. Big spaces between the words and the lines is what they pointed out. Y'all, good detective work. Hold on. Written in the remnant typewriter as Oahspe. I'm gonna see if I can read this letter. Shalom, Las Cruces, New Mexico, April 7th, 1890. Dear Percy, yours received. We have finished revising and correcting Oahspe from the original, and it is ready from the printer. I write to Collins tonight. Please put me in communication with some well-known firm of photo engravers. We shall insert the great lawgivers, Abram, Poe, Moses, etc. 11 in all. Also, many of the other pictures. Expect to have it in long primer. Everything prosperous. No word from wing. No word from wing. It looks like wing. Yours truly. And then Howland, and this is what's written in cursive. Howland thinks I better go to Boston to see to the publishing and photographing? STE. It looks like STE. I wish you get the something for, looks like stamps on the printing, if his desire, if something, I don't know. And then it has John's signature. Okay. The El Paso Oahspe pages 638 to 651 are all caps, but the spacing between words and lines are typed. Also on page 650, there is one word that is all lowercase. Clasp hands and looking upward. Quote, clasp hands and looking upward, end quote, signifying, quote, in thy praise, Jehovah, end quote. That was the line that was all, hold on. Let me read that again. Also on page 650, there is one word that is all lowercase. Quote, clasp hands and looking upward, end quote, signifying, quote, in thy praise, Jehovah, end quote. The typewriter that typed this page had the capability of upper and lowercase letters. See screenshot of page 650 below. But Nubro's typewriter typed only caps. And it shows that little picture there with the sample typing. Tabitha, shalom, shalom. And this says on this little picture specimen, it says, and he gave to man as the master sign in the lodge a hand pointing upward, pointing toward a pen, signifying, I have proved this mightier than the sword. And Jehovah gave to the members in the lodge to answer in the sign, clasp hands, and looking upward, signifying in thy praise Jehovah. Jehovah said, remember the day of proclamation of freedom, for it is, and that's the portion, it's cut off. That's the only, that's all what we can read from that little sample. All right, page 11. Jim Denon on the El Paso OAHSPE. Oh, we right at the hour mark. Let me read this, and we'll probably pause after this. Yeah. Okay. So page 11, and it has a letter. I wonder. No, I don't. Yeah. We haven't read this out loud, so you will see the letter. It's on letterhead. We're going to read this. Not for publication, please. And this is from March 15th, 1987. And at the top, the letterhead information has Jim Denon, his address and phone number. After years of waiting and much expense invested in research and copying costs, you may appreciate the disappointment experienced upon opening the package from El Paso and discovering it is not the genuine Oahspe manuscript at all, with an exclamation point. I feel him, right? Because I experienced the same disgust. Yesterday just hit me deep down in my shanana. Listen. Look, and after paying for it, like he just said too, right? Not that that matters, but I'm just saying it's just a deeper blow to think that you have something authentic and real, and to pay for it, right? And to find out, bro, that's fake. Your gold is fake, G. Look, fool's gold. Look. After years of waiting and much expense invested in research and copying costs, you may appreciate the disappointment experienced upon opening the package from El Paso and discovering that it is not, in all capital letters, N-O-T, not the genuine Oahspe manuscript, exclamation point. The enclosed announcement may be published, but this letter is my own thoughts and speculation as to why someone might have gone to all the time and trouble of handwriting and tracing the drawings to create a forgery of sorts of the original Oahspe manuscript, right? We say the same thing. Why would people do this? Like, why would you even do something like this, right? It's crazy. The enclosed announcement may be published, but this letter is my own thoughts and speculation as to why someone might have gone to all the time and trouble of hand typewriting and tracing the drawings to create a forgery of sorts of the original Oahspe manuscript. Being entirely my own wonderments about the motive, this letter is not for publication. Please. The probable author, my opinion, of the El Paso manuscript was Mrs. Alfred J. Louise Nin Carpenter, who was still living at 501 S. Stanton Street, El Paso in 1939. She was one of the children raised at Shalom, New Mexico. She was born in New Orleans in 1888 as Louise Howard, but given the Oahspean name of Nina at Shalom. Her baby picture appeared in the 1891 edition of Oahspe, reproduced at the back of some Palmer editions, the second photo in the first row. When she was later adopted by the Howlands, she went by the name Nin Howland. On the first page of the El Paso manuscript is El Paso, Texas, September the 14th, 1929, by kindness of Mrs. A.J. Carpenter, 501 S. Stanton Street, El Paso, Texas. This manuscript was donated in 1949 to the TWC Museum in El Paso by Louise Cantrell, a woman also named Louise. Dr. Newbro's daughter, Joan Howland, maintained that both the Oahspe manuscript and her father's paintings were destroyed, burned in the backyard of the Howlands' home in El Paso. Louise Howard Nin Howland lived with Joan and the Howlands in El Paso until her marriage in 1915 to an El Paso plumber, Alfred J. Carpenter. I wonder, Might Louise Nen Carpenter, as a girl living with the Howlings, have something to do with the destroying of the original Oahspe manuscript, and many years decided to laboriously hand typewrite an Oahspe manuscript to replace it? Was this what Joan intended to tell all to Ray Palmer when she died? Was the flood a true story, or had the manuscript been destroyed intentionally? So remember yesterday, like I've been picking on like some of the subtle clues. I was like, I'm not convinced that it was destroyed in a flood. What sounds more feasible is the fire, that she did it on purpose, because they said, and the only reason why I didn't believe the flood story was because they said it was in a crate. It was crated up, ready for shipment in the basement of the house. If you got a big crate full of stuff back in that day, I know you ain't had no kind of crane or nothing back then. How big was the opening of the doors, the stairwell? How big was said crate? If the crate was heavy, it had to be heavy because you put it in a crate. Back in the early 1800s, who lived in a heavy tail crate and gonna put it in the basement knowing we need to ship it out? Why would it go in the basement? Why wouldn't it be on the floor level? They can get out the front door, if not already outside in a protected space covered for easy moving, right? Ain't nobody going down to the basement of a house to get a big heavy tail crate and try and, no. If the stuff that need to go into it, everything need to come up. We need to make this as easy as possible. They had brains, right? That's why I didn't believe the flood story. Like all of this stuff. Listen, let me read this again. I wonder, might Louise Nen Carpenter, as a girl living with the Howlands, have had something to do with destroying the original Oahspe manuscript, and many years later decide to laboriously hand typewrite an Oahspe manuscript? Was the flood a true story, or had the manuscript been destroyed intentionally? Did Louise Nen Carpenter remarry, become Louise Cantrell, or was Louise Cantrell her daughter? We will try to find out. I'm greatly disappointed with this outcome. Sincerely. And it says sincerely, right? And so the next page, it has photos of Nen Howland, Nenya, second child, in the top row. Right here. Yeah, this was the picture, I'm sure, because I was like, it's a little black boy in there. This is a picture I shared, and I was able to pull it from the New Mexico website, right? So this is Nenya, top row, right here. She right beside the little black boy. That's her right there. Can y'all see that? All right. You having a hard time focusing, Ray? Ignore the chat, sis. Okay. And so also it's a figure, that was figure 10 with the children. This is figure 10, children of Shalom. And then you have figure 11, 3 Shalom children who went with the Howlands to El Paso, Texas. From left to right, have Rallo, Raw. Then you have Nenya and Fiatizi, or Fifi. Let's see, from left to right, from left to right. Okay. This is a picture of the 3 girls. Well, don't eat them, Jeremiah. I like them. And I would think it's from here, here, and here. It said from left to right, so it would be, I guess, here, her, and her. That would be Fifi. I'm thinking. All right. So we got a little bit more time. What I'll do, I'll read this portion from the Cosmon Voice, and then we'll definitely pause after this before we read this next section, the introduction to More of Oahspe by Jim Dennis.
Sorry.
Oh. Why he getting the ice? Y'all is going wild in here in the chat. I don't know what y'all saying. I'm gonna have to go back through. Let us decide, Shebrew said. Yeah, like if y'all got pieces, If y'all got pieces of the puzzle, if you think you have something, share it, right? We'll roll it through. We'll see. We'll decide whether it needs to go in the garbage, put it in the shenanigan box, put it on the shelf. Right? We all sorting through the information. So if you know some stuff that we haven't come across yet, bring it out. Put it in. We'll look into it. You know, it's a bunch of detectives here. Put it out there, OCU. Yes.
I went to the Suffolk YMCA.
Mm-hmm.
It is close.
Very good. Okay.
They have equipment that is better.
You don't want to stop like what we're working on. It's not. It's a part of it, especially if it has to do with this. Share it, and we'll roll it around. Like I said, we'll look at everything. Shayla, hey cousin. Yeah, whatever it is, share it, right? But don't get sidetracked with the chat, y'all. We come back to the chat. Yeah, if the chat is is distracting you, just ignore the chat. Try not to focus. You can actually minimize the chat or push it to the side, depending on what type of device you're able to just. Because sometimes when I'm trying to pay attention, I have to like completely ignore the chat or minimize it or something. So if it's distracting you, just try not to look at it and focus. Okay. So this document, Dennis announcement in Cosmon Voice 95. And this is volume X3, May to June 1987. And that's a picture of it, right? This real quick. Like I said, if you want this, because I don't have a link for this yet, but I can email it to you. They send it to us PDF. So I can email you the PDF. Just put Celeste letter, and I know what you're talking about. Okay. So she said that this has some information in it that's a part of all of this. That's why we're going through reading it. Okay. On April, when we're on page, well, y'all don't have it yet. It's page 14. On April 21st this year, I received a letter from Jacqueline E. Dixon saying that her father, Archie Frost, passed into S on Friday the 10th, April. She says it was a very peaceful transition and just the way he wanted it to be, at home in his sleep. Quite frankly, it was a happy release as he was nearly 93 years old, very weak, stone deaf, blind in one eye, and had been contained in his bed. And had been contained to his bed for a year. She thanked me for the letters sent to him, which she said gave him pleasure, and then expressed the feeling that he is now reunited with her mother and many of his friends of the Cosmon Church. Archie worked for over 60 years in the Cosmon Church and Faithist activities in England, and did not retire until bedfast, when it became harder for him to perform the work given him. I don't know, my friends out here in the UK, y'all might find something out there. Like, keep looking when you got time. May the angels of Jehovah be with him, and may he be reunited with those he loved and in the service as soon as he has recuperated from earthly ills. Thanks, Archie.
Last night I was trying to get your attention.
Can you, does this have to do, we're on the time schedule for real this morning, Jeremiah.
Oh, let's see. Thursday. Well, let's make it quick and brief. So, somebody decided to, what is it?
Okay, this don't sound like this is super important.
They took a fear attachment from somebody that had, fear from past traumas with a certain entity, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
Deranged. And they attached it to themselves. And I was just like,
why would they do that?
Exactly, right? And
hold on, because that sounds like the makings of the exorcism of Emily Rose. Why would they do that?
See, the thing is this. They told me that they knew what they were doing. And I said, apparently you do not. And I asked them a simple question. Do you know what a demon even is? And they said, yes, they know. She's trying to say, oh, I know what I'm talking about. This and that. I'm not asking if you know what it is. I'm asking you, do you know what it is? Like, you do know, and I have to go in detail, like, you do know that they're not that mythical horned beast that you're thinking of, right? You do know.
Hold on, this is gonna need to be a deeper conversation. You need to hold that until after 11 a.m. this morning, right? Let me finish this.
Yeah.
Let me get my paper submitted, and then we will need to talk about that.
They told me that. I was like,
okay,
clearly you're not educated.
Okay, hold on. Listen.
And the other person.
All right. Okay. Listen. All right, y'all. This is page 14 of this document. Joan writes to readers, I have received letters since the printing of the articles on Christmas symbols and the new beginnings. I have been surprised at the number of people who have written to me expressing their deep desire to affiliate with a community effort. It is not possible for me to answer all these letters immediately, but I will answer them as I am able. Lovingly, Joan Greer. So remember, Joan is Celeste's mother, the one who actually saw the trunk and who wrote this letter, the old trunk that we're going to be getting to possibly tomorrow, maybe the next day. It's in this document, okay? It says, MS not genuine. It has like block letters, right? MS not genuine, right? MS not genuine, says Jim Denon, spokesperson for the Oahspe Research Group. A great piece of news was to be in last issue of Cosmon Voice, but it later proved untrue. The long-awaited manuscript searched for years was a plagiary, which she said she doesn't necessarily think it was a forgery. It was forgery written in the front, right? But this is what he's talking about, what we got, right? The El Paso OAHSPE. This is what he's referring to. In a report on this manuscript, Jim Denon says, deception abounds in Oahspe history. Dr. Newbro's daughter, Joan Howland, tried to tell us the Oahspe manuscript was stored in the basement of their El Paso home and destroyed when a flash flood filled the basement with water, so the manuscript was burned as garbage, right? How does it flood, but yet it's burned as garbage, right? She half the truth is in there. He said, in a report on this manuscript, Jim Denon says deception abounds in Oahspe history. Dr. Newbro's daughter, Joan Howland, tried to tell us the Oahspe manuscript was stored in the basement of their El Paso home and destroyed when a flash flood filled the basement with water, so the manuscript was burned as garbage. In her 1960 interview, Joan said she burned her father's oil paintings also. There was hope, Denon goes on in his report, that Joan was wrong about the manuscript. Ray Palmer reported in an October 1974 newsletter that the Oahspe manuscript had not been destroyed, that he knew where it was, and it was in safekeeping. Further, he said, Joan Howland was about to, quote, tell all, end quote, about it when she died. Yeah, that's normally how it happens. And somebody goes to the grave and we still don't know. Further, he said, Joan Howland was about to tell all about it when she died. Ray was certain the manuscript was preserved. He formed a manuscript fund for recovering and publishing it. When the founder of the Oahspe Research Group began this investigation, she contacted Marjorie Palmer about the 1974 newsletter information. Marjorie suggested looking in El Paso, Texas. Subsequently, the July 28, 1950 El Paso Herald-Post newspaper article was discovered, which announced that the Texas Western College Museum had received the valuable Oahspe manuscript. During intervening years, the Texas Western College became the University of Texas at El Paso. The UTEP Centennial Museum advised the Oahspe manuscript had been there since 1949, but on September 21, 1972, was transferred to the Special Collections Department of the University Library. Unfortunately, the library had no record of it and could not locate it. This appears to be what Ray Palmer had learned about. The Oahspe Research Group encouraged the university to locate the Oahspe manuscript. The library advised that the only process might turn that the library advised that the only process that might turn it up was a thorough inventory of all collections, which would take a long time. That was in 1981. During the long inventory process, the manuscript was finally located on February 5th, 1987. Oahspe Research Group members were jubilant. They invested in 3 copies and anxiously awaited their arrival. Disappointment arrived in the package. The El Paso manuscript is not the original typewritten Oahspe, and that's in bold, dark print, not the original typewritten Oahspe, but is rather a laboriously hand-typewritten copy of the printed Oahspe editions. The drawings are pencil traced, outlines of the printed plates. There are missing verses, portions omitted, plates omitted, abbreviations, typos, strikeouts, etc. It is less than 700 pages. The genuine manuscript would have been well over 1,000 pages. And from our group, something that Selah had shared, there was a document that was alluding to, if I remember correctly, it was alluding to that it was more than 4,000 pages. Right? That's in a group. It's like a newspaper article. I'll try and pull it from the group and I'll post it like in a community section so you can see. Maybe I was reading it wrong. Maybe we're reading it wrong. I don't know. But according to that, it's looked like, and it's alluding to, there was over 4,000 pages, right? So, whoever typed it tried to make it seem genuine. There is a blank page with 1 line. This is a specimen of the Underwood typewriter. The only problem is Newbro used the Remington. Thus, Denning has concluded that the original Oahspe manuscript, which he once dreamed he would see on his desk, probably in material reality does not exist. Reports that it does were possibly in print before the second report about the existing copies were received. We don't need an original type manuscript. However, to see the benefit of what we may have, some may not use it for religious purposes, as the Oahspe Research Group does not, but it is here to use as each individual sees it fit within his or her own psychic guide. Oahspe is still a superior book, but not potent of itself. The creator of all is superior and potent. Without penetration by the unseen, nothing in words are worthwhile. Morals, values, integrity, all depend upon some quality that we feel or sense. The manuscript did not have the, quote, sense, end quote, of the original, as the members of the group, Dorothy Wills, Linda Blazer, and Jim Denning, found out. Thanks for sharing, Jim. And that's where we're going to pause at. And tomorrow we're going to pick it back up on page 16, reading the introduction to More of Oahspe by Jim Denning, which is a part of this document Celeste and her team so graciously put together and shared with us. Let me see. Let me find the old trunk. Oh, yeah. So it looks like we're going to actually get into the old trunk tomorrow. Definitely. We're going to get into it tomorrow because this, if we had time, I'd go into it or just, nope, we not because I got to go. Okay. So tomorrow, it's the introduction by Jim Denning, which is like a 3-page letter. And then it goes right into the old trunk by Joan Greer, revised and edited in 2015. So this is going to be good. If you, like I said, if you email me for a copy of it, if you want to read ahead, you will be able to read ahead. You will have it as a part of your research materials and stuff. Yeah, it'll be there. And some of the other stuff, like I'm not certain. Like I said, I was going to share some of the stuff in the group that I'm a part of. I'm not necessarily sure that I want to share some of that stuff in like the open forum. Simply because in order to get this particular type information, you have to, I mean, if you're a researcher, anybody can really go pull it up for real. If you pay the money, you can get in there, and I guess you can do with it whatever you want to do with it, right? But it has people's personal information in it from back then. None of them are living, but I'm just saying it's a part of the research or whatever. But I'm not quite sure yet, because it's like birth certificates and things like that, which people are still living in that family line. I don't want to like incur any kind of legal battles because of that, because that's a part of their family history, and I'm not sure that I want to put that out there.
We're not putting out
yeah, so because I don't, at this point, I don't have a way to strike out certain things, and I don't want to spend the time going through scrubbing legal documents to share it. But I do have that information, but I'm not going to make that public for fear that I may incur legal battles from that family. But it's some interesting information that I found in the research for the John Land place. All right, so that's gonna be it for today, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. Thank y'all for all y'all input. I done miss. I'm gonna have to go back here and read through and see what y'all was saying. But yes, thank you, Celeste, Joan, Peter, and LesLee for all your help. They've been look, we newcomers to the party, right? And they've been gracious enough. I don't know, Jamal, look for it. If you can't find a new one. They've been so gracious to share with us all the things that they've compiled over the years. From like the 1800s, y'all, over the years, they've been so gracious to share this with us. While we're putting it together. So like we're all working together. Like I said, if you got pieces of the puzzle or think you have a piece of the puzzle, you come with a little piece or whatever, share it so we can add it. So this ongoing research, this leg of the race, and just kind of like put it together. Maybe we'll, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure if we'll actually come upon the actual plates. And like I said, in all actuality, does it really matter? I don't think so, but maybe it might. It might be a nugget of truth that was meant for the generation where it was given, but because it wasn't put out, they kind of missed that part. Not that the creator can't give it to us again, but he can. But sometimes, I'll say in my own personal, from my own personal experience, and this may not be everything, because creator could really just download it again. But I'm gonna say from my own personal experience and what I found out, right? If I ask creator a question, or if I ask him about something, right? What I found out in my own personal experience with me searching for things, there are a lot of things he could just, here you go, here's the answer to this. But I realized he doesn't operate with me. I'll say with me like that, right? I like how you said that, Iman. She said puzzles are good for the brain. And in my personal study, in my personal experience, the creator knows all. He knows where everything is at. He could just really download it to me. But he chooses not to do it that way. Because the information is already out here. He wants me to get involved in my own development and not just, he just don't want to just spoon feed me the rest of my life. Like, get out there, use your gifts and your talents and your research skills that you've been developing over the years, because it's out there. And a lot of times there's pieces of the puzzle that we're looking for. It's like, well, he may just not want us to have it. Let's keep on going. What's for today? That's great, but we got to keep everything in its proper place. And a lot of time, if the puzzle is already out there, the piece of the puzzle is already out there, he wants us to go searching for it. Because in the search for it, it helps us. It helps to develop us. It helps us make connections that we would not have normally made, right? Who would have known we'd come across Celeste, Joan, a person who's actually laid her eyes on an actual, and not just like hearsay, like Jamia has been talking with them, who would have known? Like, it's pieces of the puzzle being filled in. So at times I feel like the National Treasure, another clue, but they refuse to give up the search. Even at the point where everybody think he looking crazy now, but he got the two friends, listen, is this crazy? Could be, but we're going to go with you because some other stuff has proved true. So if you're gonna look crazy, shucks, we this deep in with you, we might as well all look crazy together, right? But it was a good thing because he's like, I got this gut feeling. And at the end of it, there was actually a treasure, right? And it was amazing if you ever seen National Treasure. And I kind of feel like this is what this is, right? You know, it's like our own real-time National Treasure hunt. So all the pieces from the previous generations have come and just kind of like fallen in our lap, like they're giving it to us, right? And they're like, they ain't trying to like hoard everything from themselves. Like Celeste said, she's open to, she said this is just her personal interpretation of what she found in her studies, all that she put together. She's open to other interpretations and different things. I'm just like, wow, this is really, really good. So I feel like I wanna keep looking. Wow, not like just completely being stuck, but we're gonna still move along, but we're still looking for pieces. It's like, it's kind of like it's on the table, but we still got a portion of people looking for this piece of the puzzle, because we won't be able to complete it without that. We'll keep going and adding these pieces as we go, as time progresses, but we really need that piece. Like, we really need that piece, you know? So that's what I feel like. But I don't know, but it's been fun. It's been fun. You know, I'm really enjoying it. Right, yeah, I don't, right, Shebrew, we don't want to put their family info out there. But it's not, well, some of it is. It tracks to their family because, yeah, so.
Is this already public within itself? Is that stuff already public, or is it secret, actually secret?
It's not. There are some public records, you know, because you can search some of this stuff, and it's public records. But most people don't really search like that. Not saying anybody here is gonna go do something crazy with it, but just it's if they want to find it, they can. It's out there. You just got to know where to look, you know. So, but yeah. All right, y'all. So that's it. All right. I'm going to go through here and read this comments later. But let me go ahead and get out of here. What I did, I started with the new connections and everything. But we thank the Father for a national treasure hunt, because it does, shucks, it does the body good. It helps to develop us. It brings us outside of ourselves. It's a portion of community, right? According to Oahspe, the angels were instructed to teach mortals about community and how to gather in communities and learn how to help one another. This is like that same principle that's happening, right? Our own personal research, it'll cause us to just kind of sit back and what we think, this is my stuff. You know, even Ema coming in saying what she said yesterday, you know, well, I love her enthusiasm, but I don't think this is it. And me just having to put my little pride aside for the moment and think about what she said, I'm like, absolutely right, you know. And then after I get past that, get over myself, right, everybody's a part of this. That's why anybody who adds to it, this is not just my research. This is all of our research, and everybody's adding pieces to it, right? So we're operating in that community principle. And everything that we bring together, what we put together, I'm keeping track of everybody who added stuff. Like I have a document, and everybody that adds their piece, even the sister from China, early this morning, like 4 o'clock this morning, she sent me the actual download for the Romance of the Red Star, you know, and Dawn with what she's doing in pieces, Jameer's doing, what Cosmine and Sayla, and everybody, the different pieces. And OCU, if you share that part that you think, I don't know, everybody's piece, you know, just kind of keep a timeline of the new information that comes. And it's probably all a regurgitation of previous information, but it's now being found and uncovered by the current generation. And we're just kind of just putting all the pieces together, right? Because once we have it all together, what we can find, we should be able to see some type of trend or something. I don't know. It might give us another clue in itself by bringing all the pieces together. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I feel like. But That's it. Bella, hold on. That's it, y'all. So we about to get out of here. Cousin Ashe. So I see y'all here tomorrow. Thank y'all for hanging out. It is Thursday, December the 29th, 2022, day 301 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,320. And like I said, we read Celeste's letter and the information that they put together and that they shared with us last night. All right, we'll just pick this back up tomorrow. I love y'all. Enjoy y'all day. And I see y'all back here bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.